friends, so I need to be honest with you. For the longest time, I didn't think my art was good enough to even call myself an artist. I used to self-sabotage a lot. I would only sit down to draw when I had loads of time to make something perfect. I thought every piece needed to take hours and be gallery worthy. And because of that, I stopped practicing as much, and surprise, surprise, my skills didn't really improve. So tell me in the comments if you've ever avoided making art because you felt like it had to be perfect. I know I'm not alone in this. So that's why in this video we are going to be doing very loose sketches, and I'm using mixed media, and that has been my secret hack. You don't need to lay down the shapes first. I'm just really going into it with an open mind and just seeing where my pencil takes me, and just coloring and adding extra bits of color where I think it would work well. So you can see I'm just adding in these petals before I laid down the petals of the flowers. Now I'm adding in the leaves, and by doing this we're able to build a full piece of art. So the reason why I did this is because if you're not drawing every single day, you're not going to get better. The problem with a perfectionist mindset is you need to draw consistently, otherwise you won't grow. And if you're putting pressure on yourself to make serious art, then it's not fun anymore. And that's why I needed to find a way to bring joy back into art without making it feel like another chore. And that's when I discovered this magical, messy floral sketch technique, and I gave myself permission just to doodle flowers quickly. And when I started mixing watercolor, acrylic markers and pencil together, suddenly my doodles looked less than childish. Before I felt like they looked more childish, and now they're starting to look a little bit more polished, but in a sort of like a rough, loose, expressive way. And that little mix of mediums is like my cheat code. So I urge you to try this out for yourself. You can see how I'm adding in that pencil and it's giving these flowers shape. It's adding in those extra details, and I'm being very rough with it. I'm being very loose, very sketchy, and I'm not trying to be too perfect with it. And that's exactly the mindset that I want you to bring to your florals. If you're a beginner, or if you're someone who's getting back into art, you just want to add those leaves into it. You want to just add a little bit of background. So you can see here I'm just doing little flicks of the wrist just to add in those greenery in the background, and really I'm just adding detail on top. And by doing this, I'm able to create exactly what I want. I'm able to create the detail and the look that I'm looking for without having to worry about it too much. Now, instead of needing hours, I'll grab a cup of tea, I'll sit down with a brush, a marker and a pencil, and I'll just sketch flowers for 10 to 15 minutes. No pressure. And you know what? Florals are the perfect subject because they're organic, they're forgiving, and there's no wrong way to draw a petal. Honestly, every flower you draw is unique, which takes the pressure off of it. So you can draw them in any kind of way you want to. There's no fixed way. And like you can see here, I'm just going in with the stems. Now I'm going on top with the acrylic marker. So again, I'm mixing the mediums. I started off with the pencil, and now I'm adding the acrylic marker on top. So make sure that you try to lay it down first in one sort of medium and then add something else on top. So in the first one I used watercolor and then I added some of the pencil on top. Now I'm using pencil first and then adding acrylic marker on top, and just try lots of different combinations to see what you enjoy and what you love, and just see what feels right for you. So from the acrylic marker, now I'm going back into using watercolors again and just really exploring it. So here are my 3 favorite tips to help you get started with your floral sketch practice. So first of all, make sure to keep it loose. Don't worry about keeping the petals perfect. Messy is good. Make sure you layer your tools, add watercolor, wash, and then you can add marker for depth, and then a little bit of pencil for details, and you can mix it up. It doesn't need to be in any specific order. It instantly makes your sketch look more finished, and don't overwork it. Stop before it feels done and the loose and rough look looks more alive. And trust me, your first sketches won't look perfect. Mine didn't either, but that's the whole point. It's practice, and it's not a portfolio piece. It's just a way for you to let go and enjoy the moment. You can see I'm just adding those pencil details on top and breaking out those shapes that I laid down before, and it didn't need to be perfect shapes. And this is in real time. I'm just doing it nice and slow, nice and calmly, and just going with what works for me. Looking at my reference and just thinking about the different strokes before I go for it, and just adding them in there. Now, at this point of the video, you might have extra questions about how to make your floral sketches or your art look polished, even if you're a beginner. Don't worry, I actually have put together a free 7-day creative reset guide that gives you daily prompts and little tricks to loosen up, build confidence, and make art fun. Just click the link in my description or the pinned comment below to download it. It's free and it will help you to keep this momentum going. Now, as you can see here, I'm just layering in that watercolor softly, and I'm just doing little dabs and flicks of the brush. And again, now I'm going in with the acrylic marker and adding in those details that I want afterwards. So you can see I'm really just mixing those mediums, mixing colors, and seeing what I feel in the moment would look good. There's no perfect way to do this. It's really up to you, and you can just see I'm just adding that green in, seeing where I want other stems to go. So I'm just adding little different stems where I would think they would be in the background, and just adding different details wherever I think is needed. And when I let go of needing every flower to be perfect, my art actually started to grow. I stopped waiting for the perfect time, and instead I just made art. And honestly, through this experience, my sketches look a lot better now than they ever did when I was overthinking every line. So that's what I think is so important. If you're overthinking your work, if you're worrying about it, if you're stressing about it, just go with what feels good. Don't try to be overly perfectionist. And you can see I'm just adding detail to the stamen, and now I'm just doing a wonky line on purpose around the flower, just adding sort of like a scribbly loose detail. I'm not taking my pencil off of the page as I'm doing this, because I like that sort of scribbly look. So give that technique a go, where you just keep your pencil on the page and then you just do a full outline. It's almost like a continuous line, and you just do it on the outside. So I'm just adding the outline and then the stamen, and then you're able to have that look. Now for the next flower, I'm using the acrylic marker again. I'm going straight in with that, and I'm sketching the flower with the acrylic marker. Instead of going with pencil, I'm doing acrylic marker. I'm doing this for all of the flowers. None of them you can see that I did any sort of like sketch first. I just went straight in and sketched out with either the watercolor or with the colored pencil or with the acrylic marker, just adding those sketches in. Now I'm just drawing this sort of straggly flower. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a very interesting one. I'll have to look up the name for you. But I'm just adding these little petals. It's sort of like a straggly sort of petal, almost like a weed. It might even be a weed, but it was a very pretty one. And I'm just adding in the details that I saw for each petal. And again, you can see I'm being quite loose with it, not too perfect, and you can just see I'm just scribbling them in, and that's what I want you to be, is loose, and try to stay very loose with how you're using your pen. And I found that this has been so much easier for me to create really beautiful pieces that I love in my sketchbook. It's been such a fun way to fill up my sketchbook by having this scribbly approach to the drawing process. So I'm just scribbling in those lines for the petals. I'm just adding a few more. There's like a whole bunch of them together. So I'm trying to replicate that in my drawing and show how the volume of them are together. And now I'm just going in with a pencil, again mixing the mediums, putting that stem behind and showing them all connected, so they're not just like floating in the air, they actually belong to different stems. So I'm just adding that pencil in, joining them up and making sure that they make sense and they're all joined to different petals. And now I'm just doing that sort of outline technique that I've been really loving. I liked it on the watercolor, so I wanted to test it again with the acrylic marker. So I'm just outlining it roughly with the pencil, and I'm also trying to make it have some of the white in the background. And now I'm just adding in a darker acrylic marker on top of the stems that I drew in the pencil. This is just like for the shadow. These flowers were quite purple, and they had even sort of like a dark greenish purpley stems. So that's why I did the pencil underneath first and then went on top of the dark purple. And then I'm just in the stamen in the dark purple, and then adding a little bit more of that outline technique to the rest of the petals, and just making sure to have a little bit of white in there. I just want them to look very organic, very natural, and nice and loose, not too tight. And now in the background, I'm adding a little bit of a watercolor background so that it just looks like it's among some meadow or some other greenery in the background. I just didn't want them to be floating on the white page, so I decided to go in with a greenish background. So if you take one thing from this video, the main thing that I'd love you to take from this video is that you don't need to spend hours, you don't need perfection, and you definitely don't need expensive supplies. Just start messy, have fun, and play with mixing your tools, and that is where the magic is. And that is the magic to this technique, and it's the way I've been able to be really loose in my sketchbook and create pieces that I really enjoy and explore different ways of creating art and different ways for me to explore how how I can bring those techniques to my final pieces as well, because your sketchbook is meant to be a place for play, and it's meant to be a place where you can experiment, and that's how you find out what your style is, what techniques you like, how you like to mix mediums. So I implore you to experiment and go forth and enjoy making art in your sketchbook. Now for this next flower, I'm going in with a yellow, and I'm just doing that same watercolor technique again. No need for a sketch underneath, and I'm just blotching in the colors and trying to capture the shapes that I can see in this buttercup flower. Now that you know how to do this technique and how to sketch fun florals in a low pressure way, your next step is to join me on Ko-fi. That's where I share exclusive sketchbook peeks, creative challenges, and even monthly coloring pages that you can download and color at home. It's like a cozy creative club, and you also get behind the scenes sneak peeks. You also get Discord access and even a surprise snail mail goodie. So if you want to keep growing with me, sketching with me, come and join us over there, because the link is down below in the description. And I'd love to see you over in my Ko-fi community. So you can see that I'm being very loose here. I'm just again sketching on top of that watercolor and adding that shape in, and that's what I've been doing throughout this video, just mixing those mediums. And definitely I think that you should try this in your next sketchbook page. I hope you've enjoyed this video so far, and if you have, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as leave a comment down below.